Okay, hello YouTube. Welcome to the Eugene Torto YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be about, I'm going to repaint my brake calipers. I'm hoping I have enough paint. I got about half a can left of red. Might have to run out for another one to do the other side. I'll find out. But before I get started, I already have the car jacked up in the air, and I'm going to give a little tech tip. If you don't have an impact of any kind and you need to already have your car up in the air, front wheels especially. The rear is not a problem. You can just put it in gear or parking brake or whatever, or put it in park. It's automatic, and you can brake them with the wheels up in the air, but the fronts will spin on you. So that being said, you either need to have another person to put the foot on the brake to hold the wheel, the brakes, so the wheel doesn't spin while you break the lug nuts loose, or if you're working alone like I am, you take a board like this, you place it under here, and as you can see, the wheel won't move. Now you got to put it on the side that the wheel's going to rotate. Let me get this lined up here a little better. Get a good view. There we go. I think that should do it. And then you can take your breaker bar and just go like that. Whoop, that didn't work. First time, if it don't work the first time, don't get discouraged. Let's put it a little steep of an angle, and there she goes. I have these torqued to 100 foot-pounds if anyone's interested, wants to know. I do keep them well lubricated. That's what the trick is to making them come off easy. Yep, there she falls again. And there they go. They're all loose. Oh, one more. I already have one lug nut off. And there you go. And then, and that's what's important. Or that's how you get these suckers off if you don't want you already have that front wheel in the air and it's spinning on you. Put a board under like I did, break them loose, and you're good to go. I always torque these to the factory recommended specs, which is 100 foot-pounds. A lot of people think that's crazy, you'll never get them off. But as I just showed you, with that little short breaker bar, I was able to get them off. Remember to keep your anti-seize on your threads. Not too much, you only need a little, and they'll always break off. That being said, the best way to do it is pick yourself up an electric impact. Plug it in, you're good to go. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. I'll get the wheel off, and we'll get to work on the brakes. Okay, I got the wheel off, and I got the steering wheel. I got both front wheels up in the air, by the way, under jack stands. I always use jack stands. Always secure the vehicle safely. You always want to make sure you do that. And you can see how bad this caliper is. And one thing I am going to do is, before I do anything, is disconnect this line right there. And you can use, on this particular one, I can either use an 11mm or 7/16. I'm going to use a 7/16 because I have a ratcheting box end here in that size, and I don't have an 11mm in ratcheting wrench, so that just makes it easier. Another thing I'm going to do, once I get this off, let's see if I can zero in on this. Once I get this off, brake fluid is going to leak out of there. It's going to drip, and it's just going to end up siphoning the whole system. You'll have air in your system. I am going to flush the whole system. It's better to do it without any air in the system, because then you're going to have to actuate the ABS. This is a 90 Corvette, and anyone that's not familiar with it, I'll leave a link up there. 90 Corvette, the ABS is behind the driver's side seat in the compartment. And on a 90 Corvette, I know everyone will tell you when you bleed a brake system, you bleed the wheel furthest from the master cylinder, which is always the passenger side or right side rear. On a 90 Corvette, that is not so. And other C4 Corvettes, that is not so. What happens is the brake fluid flows all the way back to the ABS, then it runs all the way up again to the, and that being so, it is the right front that is the furthest from the master cylinder, because that's the furthest the brake fluid has to travel. So if you ever bleed the brake system on a 90 Corvette or in other C4s, not all C4s, 84 for instance didn't have ABS. I think it was 85, and then 85 just had it on the rear, I think. I'm not sure. Have to look that up. But that's something to keep in mind. The right rear is not always the furthest from the master cylinder when you bleed a brake system. Anyway, getting back to this, I am going to undo that, and when I do it, see if I can get a better view. And when I undo it, I'm going to put a clamp on that on the end of that hose, C-clamp, with two little rubber pads, and hopefully that will seal it off and keep the brake fluid from leaking out. They do make actual clamp that goes on there that you can buy. I don't have one of them, and let's get to work, I guess. And there goes the brake fluid. Probably be a good idea to keep a pad of some type under here. Don't lose your washers. And we'll put a pad here and a pad here, and then we'll tighten that up. It's going to be difficult to do, but I'll see what I can do. Alright, definitely going to be difficult to do. Another thing to do might be to use a pair of vice grips. Maybe I'll try that on the other side, I don't know. Nope. It's going to prove to be more difficult than I thought. This is where a third hand would come in handy. I don't have a third hand, so I just have to bear with it. Tighten that down, and hopefully no brake fluid will leak out. And let's see. Okay, on a 90 Corvette, this pin comes out, and then this flips up and drops out. Let me get that C-clip off, and a screwdriver. There's that C-clip. Little washer that goes there. And the pin came right out. And voila, there we go. You can see that all good. If you're wondering what kind of pads I'm running Hawk HPS pads, and I'm running StopTech slotted rotors. These are the high carbon rotors with black eco. If you run your brakes hard like I do, you will burn that black e-coating off. So I guess we'll take these shoes out and go down to the basement and get painting these. Okay, I'm in the basement, and you can see I got this cleaned up, and I removed as much as I'm going to remove off it. What I did is I hit it with Simple Green, because I'm in the basement. I don't want a bunch of fumes. Soaked it with Simple Green, and then I took a scouring pad, got off as much as I can. Then took it outside, hit it with the brake cleaner. When I hit it with the brake cleaner, all the paint started to bubble up and come off. These are remanufactured calibers, I believe, from Advance Auto, and they already come powder coated silver, I believe, if I remember correctly. You can see the coating on there. The paint ain't adhering to that too well. If I could afford it, I would just swap these out for a set of powder coated brake calibers. They do sell them. If I can remember the link, I'll put it in the description box below. And I also took my Dremel motor tool and removed some of the casting flash just to make it look a little bit better. I went and dried it off with my hair dryer, and that sucker stopped working. But when I did rinse these off, the Simple Green, I did it in my kitchen sink with the hot water, and that got this pretty warm. So that helped dry it off real quick. So in my opinion, it's ready for paint, and I'm not going to go all out. I ain't going to worry about the underside. I am going to mask off these pistons and seals and hang them up and paint them. Okay, well, the driver's side caliper is drying. I went and took the one off the passenger side. It's not as bad as the driver's side. I just went and cleaned it up real quick with some Simple Green. I ran it under real hot water. You can see it's already drying on itself real quick. I am going to go ahead and deburr it and then clean it up a little bit better. And if you're wondering how I'm deburring, I'm actually using these Dremel cutoff tools. See if I can show you the kit here. It actually comes with a quick easy lock cutting kit, they call it. Comes with discs. Discs are like the fiber kind, the same kind you find like for an angle grinder. They're a lot better than the other type of disc. And what's nice is you can just change them real quick. You just pull that down, that little collet down, and spin this, if I can do it right. There we go. And that pops off, and hopefully you can see that. And that pops on, you turn it, and voila. Look at that, locks right in. Good to go. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but it does look better. I'm not going to go all out, show car quality on it. I'm pretty happy with it. I guess if I wanted to get real fancy, I could remove these flashes here too. I mean, if I wanted to make this showroom quality, I could break out all my sanding rolls and polishing stuff I have from like polishing cylinder heads and all that. I could give this sucker a real nice job. I'm not going to go that far. I drive this car as much as I drive this. It's and even though I take it to a lot of car shows, it's usually by the time I get at a car show, it's dirty. Even after I detail it, it's they get dirty. And if this was a show car only, I'd go all out and smooth this casting all down and everything. And I guess the thing you got to be aware of when you do that is don't get too stupid with it. You don't want to damage the caliber in any way. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably polish these and then get like high temperature clear coat and clear coat them. Personally, I don't think I'd like that, but each their own. For when it comes to that, some people like black, some like red, some like yellow, some like silver. Like I said, some like polished. But I'm going to give this a better cleaning, and by the time I'm done that other one hopefully will be dry enough, and I can go ahead and paint that. Okay, the first one is done. I can probably let it dry and set up. Maybe I'll let it set up till tomorrow and then put it on. This way the paint's on there. You only need to wait an hour before you can handle it, and then 24 before you put it in use, I think it is. I think that's what it says on the can. Whatever product you use, make sure you follow the instructions on the can. But I'm happy with them. I guess come fall I'll do a review of them, and we'll see how they turned out. Well, that's it for now. I'll finish painting up the other one, and I'll get these put back on the car, and then we'll go back out there and see how they look all back on the car and everything. Okay, we're out in the shop, and it's the next day. I ended up letting these dry overnight. I got the driver's side on, and that's all done, and I'm going to move on to the passenger side, or the right side. One thing that did not work out, this C-clamp that I had on there to keep the brake fluid from running out, that didn't work. All the brake fluid ran out. That being said, I will be doing a video on how to bleed the brakes on a 90 Corvette and actuate the ABS when doing it. So I'll do that in another video. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see it. Anyway, getting back to this. Let's see if I get a bit of view here. Alright, there we go. I think that's good. I ended up painting these round clips on the brake pads. Those were all corroded, so I ended up hitting them with rust encapsulator paint. And I'm not sure, I doubt that's going to hold up to the heat, but we'll find out. And I did take a piece of sandpaper, coarse sandpaper, and break the edges. Deburr the edges. Give it a light sanding, just to break the glaze. You don't have to sit there and press real hard, just break the glaze and get that off. That's always a good idea. And another thing you want to do is use the appropriate lubricant, high temperature brake parts lubricant. This came with these Hawk brake pads. These are HPS. You're wondering why I have this on here. This tie wrap was to mark the right brake pads from the left, so they go back on the same spot. But anyway, getting back to the grease, you only need a little bit of grease, and it's going to go in this area of the pad that slides in and out on the brake caliber bracket, and down here, right there. You only need a little bit. Wipe off the excess, and this is where the pin is going to hold it in place. Hopefully you guys can see that. And this is going to slide in and out like that. That's how that works. Another thing is the pin has 2 grooves in it. Hopefully you can see that. One there and one there. The inner groove is where you put the clip if you have the base model brakes. If you have the heavy duty brake option, the 13-inch brake rotors, those rotors are wider and you'll need to put the clip there. If I am wrong about this and someone is watching this that knows that, please leave a comment for all my fellow viewers so they know. Anyway, one thing you need to do is compress the caliber. One thing you might want to do is wrap this in saran wrap to keep it from getting dirty. Right now I know I'm going to get it dirty. There's no way around that, but probably be a good idea to wrap it in saran wrap if you don't want to get it dirty. That being said, when this sits on gets bolted on, brake bleeder will always be to the top. So this will be your inside. The brake pad will go on with, hopefully you can see that, with this part down. That's where that pin goes. Hopefully you can see that. I hope I'm getting a good view on that. So that will have to go down. This up, this down. This will clip in here. You will have to press it in there. It will take some force. You may even have to use a screwdriver to pry it in. Let's see. There we go. Pop it in there. Like I said, it might take a little force to pop it in there. There we go. Okay, it's in there. It's at an angle. Ooh, I don't like that. There we go. Straighten it out. There we go. Work it back and forth, and it's in. Now that that's in, I'm going to have to use a C-clamp and keep from marring the outside of that. I'll put this paper towel there like that. Make a C-clamp, like so. They do make a tool for this, if you want to spend the money on the tool. I've never used one of those tools, so I can't say how they work. I've always just grabbed the C-clamp, because it pretty much does the same thing. Get that sucker down in there further. Now you don't want to over tighten it, just compress it. I'm still not liking the way that's going. I want to get that down in there further. There we go. Hopefully you guys see this good. And compress it. Don't have to go real hard, just so you feel it stop, then back off the clamp. If you have the caliber is hooked up to the system, it may push back out. So you may have to loosen the bleeder, let the pressure out when you do that. Otherwise it may not compress. Now for the outer brake pad. And voila. Hopefully I didn't scratch this up too bad. Like I said, it's all dirty, of course. I'll clean that off later. Depending how fussy you are, you want to maybe put some pad down or something when you do that. That being said, we'll go to the other side of the car and get working over there. Okay, we're on the other side, and I need to blow this off, clean it with a brake cleaner, lubricate it, and get everything on there. Before I do that, tech tip, if you don't already know it, is to put some lug nuts on. Put at least 2. That usually works better. You want it square on there. You don't have to put them real tight. I always just put them on backwards. It makes it easier to hold them in place, and this way it's held in place and not moving around while you're trying to assemble everything. So, let's see if I can get a good camera view here. There we go, that should do it. Hopefully you guys are seeing this good. Let's see if I can get a better view. Put a little lubricant right in this slot here. You only need a little bit. Like I said, you don't need a lot. If you get too much on there, just wipe the excess off. A little bit right there, right in here. That's where the brake pad's going to sit. Both sides. Just put a little in there too. Doesn't take a lot, just a little. I'd rather use less than too much. And basically, once you have this all loaded, you just stick it in there like that, and just like that. Lube up the pin. And that will slide in that slot. And you may have to snap this down. Sometimes this pin can be a pain to get in there. Let's see. I always go from that side. If you have problems aligning it, go from the other side, get it aligned, then go from the other side. The camera's kind of in my way. It's kind of bugging me out here. You may even need a hammer to tap it in, but normally you can just tap it. There we go. Voila. Put the washer on. And the clip. Most of the time you can press that clip on with your fingers. If not, you just use a screwdriver or a pair of pliers. Oh, I'm going to use a screwdriver. Make sure it's on there all the way. There we go. Looks it. Let me get the light on there. Yep, it's on there all the way. It's not going all the way on there. And next thing to do is these bolts. And hopefully everyone's seeing this good. I try to get good camera angles. I'm going to clean this off. It's a brake clean. Make sure both washers you have are there. I don't know if you can see that or not. I hope you can. And one on the outside, one on the inside. If you have that plug in there, I don't know if you've seen it earlier in the video, I had a plug in there to keep contaminants from getting inside the brake caliper. Unscrew that. Line up your hole best you can, and be very careful not to cross thread. If it feels like it's grabbing, back it up and start over again. Okay. You can thread it in by hand quite a bit. Make sure you're not cross threading. Take your trusty wrench. You can use a, you do have enough room here if you wanted to use a regular ratchet wrench. I'm just using a ratchet box end style wrench. Hoping you guys are seeing this. If not, it's pretty basic. You can look it up in factory service manual, etc., etc. I prefer the factory service manual over the Haynes manual. I don't know if it shows it in like the Haynes manual as any of those Clinton or aftermarket ones. Tighten it down good. Make sure you have everything orientated right. Let me see if I can get a better view here. There we go. There we go. You make sure you have this all orientated right. If you tighten this down, this thing is cocked wrong. It will hang up on here. There's a lip, and it won't be seated correctly, and brake fluid will shoot out everywhere, and you'll be screwed. So, give that a good cleaning, I guess, and take these lug nuts off, throw the wheel on, and it's good to go. But before I do that, I'm going to bleed the brakes. Like I said, I'm going to do that in a separate video. I use speed bleeders, and one experience I had with speed bleeders is they corrode real bad. So make sure you use like these rubber style caps here. I'll see if I can get one off. That sucker's on there good, which is probably a good thing. Oh, there we go. There we go. And I forgot, I think I used a different brand, I can't remember, but I'll try and provide links for these. And links for these rubber caps, I got a whole box full of them, so make sure you have these on here. They will corrode, especially on the rear. That's a big help. With the speed bleeders, it's a one-man job. There's basically a little spring-loaded valve in there. You just back this off a little bit, hook your hose up into a bottle of brake fluid, keep your reservoir filled, and you just pump away. Like I said, I'll go over that in my next video. I want to thank everybody for watching. Remember, if you want to see that video on actuating the ABS and bleeding the brakes, subscribe and hit the notification bell. In the meantime, God bless. Everybody have a good day. I hope this video is helpful. Please leave comments if you think it should be done the other way. I'm always open to suggestions, and anything that will help other viewers out is always a good thing. So, get out there, do your project cars. Have a good day.